Hey everybody, Saints Row came out today, and so we have the Notorious Edition. This is so wild and kind of surreal to me that Saints Row is back after, what, 9, 8 years, something like that. Um, yeah, I'm a huge Saints Row fan. If you guys didn't know that, I've been playing since I found this on my shelf. The first game, I've been playing since 2009 or something. I definitely didn't play when the first game came out or anything. I would have been way too young for that. But yeah, so I bought the biggest edition they had because I wanted to. I wanted the extra stuff and the cosmetics and everything. This game's always been about customization. And I just want to say this going in. This is going to be a two-part video. One of them is going to be simply unboxing this, and then the other will be a review. People have been going at this really, really hard. So this is like a plastic sleeve. Ooh. Okay, hold up. So there's a steel case, an art book, art cards, loads of stuff in this. That is super, super cool. And then that, holds everything. So this is our steel book. There's our game in it and everything. Expansion pass. Thank God I didn't show a code or anything there. Yeah, wow. That's the Saints Row on the side. I love these. These are really, really cool. The only problem is I'm just going to display the whole damn thing. And then, yeah, we have art cards. I've always been a fan in the series, except for obviously in the first two, of the boss character being the default. I don't have a problem with that at all. Santo Eliso Police Department. Is this a... Oh, yeah. There's one of every character here. This is taped together, but this... Basically, there are these wanted posters here with a description of each one of the new main characters in the cast. I was worried when I first saw the new characters, and I'm still a little worried, but I definitely don't think they are, as everyone's been describing, as quote-unquote hipster trash. That is a real statement that people on the internet have been saying, that the new Saints Row characters are hipster trash. I don't know. I think the statement that this game is somewhere in between 2 and 3 is the right direction. So here we have the default... That's bad. The default boss. Their name is Unknown, or B. Well, officers have reported sociopathic behaviors at time of encounter. Squads have been unable to apprehend. Observations, particularly proficient with automatic pistols and heavy weapons, displays evidence of military training. Yeah, that's the only piece of backstory. Then we have Kevin, who is not wearing a shirt in that picture, which was the one thing they said. I think he has some sort of fanny pack across his chest. Kevin, wanted for multiple reported offenses, including damage of county building property and public order offenses. Loud, brash, with left arm sleeve of identifying tattoos, easily spotted repeatedly without upper body clothing. Okay, that's annoying. His personality shouldn't be his lack of a shirt. But Nina, witnessed as a getaway driver in multiple armed robberies, also wanted in connection with stolen equities. Known longtime family affiliated with Los Panteros, gang initiated into gang operations at a young age. That's cool. I hope her backstory is really interesting. And then this is Eli, identified in failed armed robbery Suspected escaped when officers were overwhelmed. Fugitive warrant issued. Calculated individual when apprehended. Usual feigned innocence convincingly until rescued by associates. Interesting. Okay, so they all seem to have some sort of interesting back to them that makes them all different. Most of the characters that were introduced in Saints Row 2 sort of did, but they didn't. They just had great personalities. I love Shandy. Pierce is kind of annoying, but I also find him kind of charming, right? And Gat is just a classic badass. But the thing is that Gat also had your backing as a friend, and you got to know him in the first game. He helped you make the Saints in the second game, and by the third one, you were all, like, amazing friends and this fantastic gang. I'm not going to read all of these out here, but this is... So these are postcards from Santo Ileso. Santo Ileso, where everyone's a winner. So there's what I believe to be is a sort of, hotel resort and a casino. Yeah, there's like betting on horses and stuff there. Santo Ileso, a little slice of American life. There is a, like, little history museum and what seems to be some sort of satellite TV. It's a UFO satellite dish sort of looking thing. Small time theater and a statue without a head. Oh, like this one. This is of some of the this is a graffiti piece that's on a building, but it's just Santo Ileso with the skyline and a giant snake. There also, may I say, on the back of these cards are heartfelt messages to, I assume, Boss. From all sorts of different... Wait, are these all from different people to the main characters? Yeah. So, I don't know if this is part of their... I think there's either a coffee stain or a blood... Here, I'll put these on screen if you want to read them. You can pause that and read it. I don't know. But there's, like, what seems to be a blood stain or a coffee stain on there, on that one. I think these might be spoilers. I don't know. But I'm going to be going through spoilers in the review section anyway. And, yeah, I think that's pretty much the whole thing, other than... Ooh, this is a nicely... This isn't cheap material. This is a very nice, high-quality poster. Oh, wow. That is so cool. God damn. And then... Tacos Ros. Yeah, I love that. How did I... Oh, man. Wait. Wait. I don't know how I did this. I think it's like that, and then like that, and then like that. It was this way. Yeah. That one's really dope. I can't wait to put that up. And then this is a full art book, which I'm not going to go through all of it. But that's really, really cool. I definitely think this was worthwhile. I always love having art cards and stuff. And that's awesome to have, like, headshots of the characters and a description. Alright, yeah. Just the fact that they have confidence in these characters and are presented so much for them, I think is a good sign. But yeah, I will get into the game, and then we'll see. I think people have been far too harsh on this. Like, I've seen a bit of the opening already, And people took a scene where the main character basically criticizes themselves. They fail on their first day at this job, and they're like, "Oh fuck, right?" And then they're like, "God, this is it's all swearing. What is this game?" And it was just like that's just them like criticizing themselves on the drive home. Yeah, it's a bit excessive, but I think also on the fact that it's been done by YouTubers and there's no music over the scene. It's like the opening credits is what it's supposed to be, and no one has the music enabled, so it seems not so great. I don't think the whole game's like that. In fact, I think most of the game isn't like that. And I've seen some of the other moments of it. All I wanted from this game was a group of degenerate people to build up, become something more, take down all the gangs in their town, and become top dog. Which I think this will accomplish in spades. We'll see.
So, Saints Row. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I had about 45 hours. No, a little less. I think it was around somewhere 39, 40. Most of that is story, and then I also did spend a fair amount of time screwing around getting collectibles. But yeah, I would just like to address before going into this. Please come at this with a little bit more of an open mind. Everyone on the internet seems to be hating on Volition and this new game, and I came into this with an open mind, and I'd like you to as well. The story takes place in Santo Eliso, this New Mexico area, which is awesome. I enjoyed it. The only problem is I think there's too much desert and not enough more of the city. The desert would be cool if there was more like gang outposts. I wish we had like Los Panteros took over most of the like wasteland. I think that would have been cool. Or if Marshall headquarters was bigger. You know, there are things like that that I think could have been done better. Speaking of which, yeah, the gangs. So we have the idols, which are these like cult like they're basically a mix between the Deckers and Genki's Death Game. That's pretty much what they are. Even there is a character that is wearing like a pink suit with Genki's, not the actual like mascot mask, but they have an LED motorbike helmet that has like pixel art of Genki's face on it. And I don't know if that's supposed to be like the new Genki or something, or if it's just a reference. But yeah, they're one of the like leaders of the idols, called I believe the Collective, if I'm remembering. So yeah, we have obviously the Saints, the Los Panteros, the Idols, and Marshall Tech. Marshall Tech is like this military company you start working for at the beginning of the game. And then Los Panteros is our only actual classic gang, where they're just a bunch of like New Mexico gearheads that run around stealing cars and shooting people like gangs do. Unfortunately, that's like really my biggest complaint. I know that they wanted to go for more of a Saints Row 3 like crazy gangs with some wild cool stuff. Honestly, the idols, whatever, they're kind of wacky, but other than the fact that they have like just, you know, neon clothing and like pixelated helmets and stuff, they're all right. Marshall Tech is really what I have the issue with. Now, they're definitely similar to some previous military groups that we've had in Saints Row, but the only problem with this one is that it just goes way off the walls. See, it's run by this Texan guy. I forget his name off the top of my head. It's been a bit. But they use like futuristic tech. So he has like this AI tank and hover bikes, and don't get me wrong, they're fun to use, and that's certainly what some people love in Saints Row. Saints Row 3 sold very well for those reasons. But yeah, it took me a little bit out of the experience, I have to admit. And so throughout the story, you and your friends in your 20s start your experience in all different areas of Santo Eliso. You work at Marshall Tech. Nina works for Los Panteros. And Kev works for the Idols. Eli, who is your other roommate, is the only one that's not in one of these quote-unquote gangs. He is your bookman, pretty much. He's like the new Kenzie, which is a terrible statement because I love Kenzie so much, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Throughout the beginning of the game, you guys start to realize your differences, and like, especially your main character, who is pretty indifferent to his or her roommates' gangs and groups and everything. They're all like, oh yeah, no, we don't interlock jobs and whatever. If one of us screws with the other person's gang, then we just like do chores around the house and make up, and it's whatever. You know, we keep our gang business outside of being roommates, which I thought was an interesting dynamic because it shows immediately that they care more about each other than these gangs. And that's saying something, because actually Nina and Kevin both have a huge connection to the Idols and to Los Panteros. Kevin especially, he idolizes these people because they want to create this whole new society without money and everything, this sort of like weird pseudo-socialist thing. And he believes in it, and they all, just like any cult would, call each other a family, even though they don't care about him whatsoever, and they make him try and choose between him and his friends, the Idols and his friends. Not in a normal way of like, oh, you move out, you come live with the collective. No, it's like, okay, cool, either we force you out, or you kill your friends right now. And so obviously, you know, Kevin turns over, that's how that happens, and Nina's is a little bit harder. They fucking wreck one of her cars, and she decides to leave, and then, of course, Sergo, who's the boss of Los Panteros, just wants to go and fight with the Idols, and gets Eli shot. So that's how he sort of fits into this, where, like, everyone's having trouble with their own, quote-unquote gangs. You get fired from Marshall Tech. You know, Kev has to make this last-minute decision, and Sergo, who is Nina's boss in Los Panteros, instigates the whole fight. So then you all split up, you fix up Eli, you run back to your apartment, and all of a sudden it clicks. Why are we working for all these other people when we obviously stopped that fight and did it all so good on our own? And that's when you start the Saints. It's definitely not as clean and as well motivated as some of the other games, although it is a lot easier to understand, and I get where the sort of idea of having those relatable characters is alright. I kind of love their relationship, and the fact that they took the importance of each other over those gangs that would have had their back. Perfect example, throughout the game you have problems with the law and just loads of legal trouble without a lot of people to have your back. Through the first half of the game, you don't have gang members. It's just you and your 3 friends, and that's it. But one thing that I really like about that is that you eventually get the Saints Church, just like in Saints Row 1, and build it up to be this awesome base, and you eventually gain more gang members. And that's another thing. So there's 3 types of quests throughout this. There's the direct story mode, then there is like gang quests, which increases your amounts of gang members, and then you have the direct side quests, which build up your relationship with your quote-unquote homies, amongst other things. And I thought that was really, really good. Yeah, it all kind of meshed really well together for me. I really enjoyed every aspect of that. The story, unfortunately, is the low point of all 3 of those. The gang quests are really, really cool in the fact that it shows the advancements you're making. In this game, they added the ability to buy businesses and do quests with it, and it was pretty good. A lot of people have some problems with them, but they have, like, I think it's like over 10 of them or something. So there's definitely a huge variety, and I can understand that some of the quests aren't as good as the others. There's a nuclear waste one where you have to haul these trucks around and find places to dump it. And you also have to find the trucks in the first place, which is probably the most annoying part. Yeah, that one's boring and slow. I get it. But that's sort of the premise of the whole idea for that quest in particular. On top of that, the first one you get is Gym Robs, obviously a play on the original Garage type. If you know, you know, I'm not going to say it. On top of that, what I will say is that people were totally convinced that this new one was going to be so toned down and not going to have any of the original Saints Row's jokes, even though it was trying to get back to its roots. I can safely say that that's not the case. They definitely did take the time to put in as much of that as possible. Obviously, Gym Robs is a nod to that as well. And if you know, you know, the fast food restaurant FB's is back in the game, and I love it so much. I think it's hilarious. The new art they added for it and everything just looks so much better, and it's really, really funny. On top of that, there is a side mission for FB's as well. So yeah, going back to the the establishments that you can buy, I think the Gym Robs missions particularly were really, really good. I think they were creative. Obviously, you have to run and get cars to scrap for parts for money. But instead of this just being you go chase down, you know, whatever boring vehicle, it takes you around the map to see some of the more interesting and creative vehicles in the game that you can take back to Gym Robs yourself and mod. I thought that was really fun. This is how I got some of my favorite cars in the game, like the Fer de Lance and the Go-Kart. I thought that was really, really good. On top of some of Marshall Tech's vehicles, near the end it gets harder, the durability of the cars get lower, you know, things like that. I thought that was really, really cool. On top of the fact that you have to fight off some of the gangs from Marshall Tech to the Idols, and it's really, really good. I enjoyed that one. A lot of people didn't. They were just like, oh, it's all car chases, but it's a garage. I mean, what did you expect? Which is sort of where I'm getting with this. A lot of this is like, people took their expectations far too high in a way that I just don't understand. Perfect example, most people complain that, oh, it's just shooting and riding in your vehicle. That's Saints Row. And to preface this, before going into the rest of Saints Row, before this new game came out, I played through 2, 3, and 4, and Get Outta Hell. Unfortunately, I don't have an Xbox 360, so I was not able to play Saints Row 1. But, yeah, like, the games haven't really changed much, and I'm going to be completely honest, this may shock you, I had a way better time playing this than I did Saints Row 3. I know, but besides that, let me tell you a little bit about the best business that you can buy, and while it technically doesn't fall into that margin, it is one of those quests and a building that you get to build. A character that is kind of underutilized in this game as far as the whole gang thing goes, Eli loves LARPing and D&D. And so there is a whole quest line that adds new animations and new mechanics for you to do this LARPing quest with Eli. And it's not some lame little small group. No, there's a series of what they call wasteland guns, equivalent to just cardboard covered Nerf guns, things like that are meant to look like old style guns. And it's really, really cool because shooting them at people makes them do this sort of theater type die, and the theater deaths are hilarious, where like you shoot someone in the chest and they'll like pull out their guts sort of thing. They'll be like, "Ugh," and then fall down onto the ground. It's great. And so that happens within those missions, on top of you and Eli bonding by making new armor for your characters, creating your own house, and going and taking over other characters' places, and on top of getting a sort of Game of Thrones type chair at the end of it, and a steel crown. It's really, really a fun mission that ties together some characters from the story and really makes you appreciate Eli. And it's honestly my favorite out of all of the side missions. And there's, I think, 4 of them within that, on top of you just getting to use those guns and getting trophies for the church, on top of having that building, the Sandy Kraken, this handmade castle. made out of scrap metal, cardboard. Yeah, it's so good. I honestly, probably my favorite part of the whole game, I'm not gonna lie. So, my final verdict for this, after finishing the story, there was a great sort of Life is Strange style twist that kind of feels a little forced at the end. However, I really enjoyed the mission, and the twist is not so good. Halfway through the game, you reunite with the first boss, whose name is the Nawali, and he seems like he's going to be a wonderful addition to the Saints. You two get along, he thinks you're a little weird and that your gang members are just kind of soft. However, by the end of the game, which is you catching up to the first cutscene, where you have a party, you get pulled away, and get buried, you realize that it's the Nawali that has done this to you. He turns on you, saying that he wants the life you have for your friends. You go through a mental battle where you chase your own demons and learn to appreciate your friendship even more, and then go to kill the Nawali. Well, he's killed loads of your gang members in the church and kidnapped Nina, Kyle, and Eli, which has this really weird turn of events where you see a sitcom-esque set of their old apartment that they have, where they talked about making the Saints, and remake one of the cutscenes in the first mission, which is just strange. And of course, everyone other than the Nawali is completely uncomfortable. The biggest problem that I have with this is it doesn't fit with the Nawali's character at all. However, the mission chasing him down and him being the final boss is rather enjoyable, and so is the end cutscene as well, with them stating that they're going to go bigger, and that they made their first villain and had defeated him in the same day, which, you know, is cool. However, I think that this is only really a starting point for the Saints, and in such, it needs a sequel in order for it to really flourish and I think be further appreciated. The problem with this is that people hate on this game so much and have been frequently bandwagoning without even actually playing it for themselves that Volition might go down for this title. I understand that it is rehashing old tropes and that it doesn't have some of the smaller, very cool details that the second game and first game had. However, Saints Row 3 didn't do it as well either, but no one seems to care. I think my biggest problem is that Volition took a chance, and I think they did it really well. However, people never gave Volition the chance by buying the game. They looked at popular reviewers and other YouTubers' opinions and just decided to take it as fact instead of trying it for themselves. I know a lot of people are thrifty and sometimes can't afford full-price games, but at the end of the day, I don't think that looking at someone else's opinion on something that is, in my opinion, great, and not giving it a chance yourself, well, I don't think that's worth taking down a company for. And unfortunately, it seems like that's the way things are going. But aside from that, genuinely, Saints Row 2022 is an interesting take on the Saints Row formula, and I think could take the series to new heights. I would love to see them head back to Stillwater and see a young Johnny Gat, maybe Shaundi before she went to prison, things like that, and them taking over and joining the gang. It would be interesting to adapt old characters and old locations in a new fashion while improving on the combat. Probably my least favorite part of the game is its mobility, and it entirely focuses on cars. You have one run animation, and that's my huge issue. If you could have better melee combat, maybe sliding, better mantling, and slightly better gunplay, and go to Stillwater, I think that would sell amazing and bring Volition back to where it needs to be. I just hope that everyone, including their shareholders, will allow them to take another chance. Anyway, hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, or night whenever you're watching this. and check out more of my content. I'm going to be posting a lot about Splatoon 3 over the next few weeks. Maybe catch a stream or two. Alright, bye.